Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Brian Benson, and welcome to the Unstoppable Pursuit podcast. We are pushing the limits on business, life, and health, and my beautiful, muscular co-host, handsome Mike Stahl is here, and he is a wellness and health coach, and he's just going to, he wrote a book. He's also an author and a speaker, so we're going to start out with an affirmation from his book that we all love. It's called Dominate Your Day. Check it out at michaelstahl.com. That's where you can buy it. 365 days of daily devotionals, motivation. It's a great book. So he's going to start out. And today we're talking about authenticity. So that's what this is about.
And I quote from Dominate Your Day, "There's a story about a young man who wanted to climb the success ladder. He was always looking for his next deal and his next account. All he wanted to do was take all the time. Along the way, he lost sight of two of the most important principles in business, the ability to give and authenticity. That may look like a bad business plan. How can I give more, and how can I give that more in value and still make more money?" Okay, my word of advice for those reading this is the best givers and the most authentic people are also some of the best getters. Giving and being authentic is magnetic. Giving and being authentic is caring. Giving and being authentic is excellent customer service. So the more you give in time, patience, love, positivity, detail, and passion, the more people will want of it and of what you are building. That is where the circle of giving and taking comes together while making money and changing lives in the process. Be a giver from your heart, be authentic, and watch it change your life for the better.
Love it, man. That's awesome. So what is authenticity? You know, a great quote that I want to start this out with, too, after that is Brene Brown wrote a book, and she said in the book, "Stop being who you think you should be and be who you are." Just think about that for a second. We consistently probably go out into the world, you know, how are you going to show up today? What are you going to be like? How does it look? What does it feel like? And I just want people to understand is that you need to stop thinking about who you think you should be and actually just be who you are. Like Mike said in his affirmation, is that it is definitely a magnetism. It's something that people will see and feel when you are being authentic. So let's talk about why, Mike, and kind of go through some of the main points here on why you should be authentic.
So Brian and I made a list of several reasons, and we'll go into a little bit more detail on these, but the big one is trust, credibility, value, transparency, better motivation, better inspiration, and a big one that we'll go into detail on is better relatability. So let's talk about trust.
Yeah, I think when, you know, and I actually think, and we'll get down into this a little bit more into the weeds, but there is that know-like-trust spectrum in life. And I think when people do business with people, people hang out with people when they know, like, and trust them. But I think the number one thing, I don't care if you like that person or even if you know that person, but trust, that is like that one thing that if like is broken is so hard to get back. Like I can like you again probably, and obviously know is, okay, I know you, but the whole trust thing is just such a big component.
Yeah, I think trust, honestly, I think trust is everything. I think it's the most powerful, single-handedly concept in any type of relationship. Because again, if you lose that trust, I mean, I think you can maybe gain some of it back. I don't think you can gain all of it back.
That's such a good point. And especially in, you know, in America, we're so known for giving second chances to people. But I always think that when you break that trust through not being authentic to who you really are, I still think, like you just said, there's still something in the back of people's minds like, I don't know. So does that break credibility and value systems, Mike?
I think that everything that I said after trust is directly affected by trust, or the lack thereof. Like, I think that once you lose trust, like, your value goes down, like your credibility goes down. People don't believe you. There's less transparency. People's walls go up and they stop believing in what you say, even if what you're saying is true. You know what I mean? And I think that, like you, if no one trusts you, like, people aren't going to find you motivating. People aren't going to find you inspiring, you know, and they sure as hell aren't going to be able to relate to you because again, their wall is up and they're like, dude, you already broke the trust. What, give me a reason to trust you. Now you're having to prove yourself to everybody.
No, I totally agree. And reproving yourself consistently, and I think that becomes really tough. And I kind of want to dig back into that point of transparency, because in the age of the internet and online and places that we are, like, more and more, YouTube stars are being born, people that are just being so transparent about their lives. I mean, look at us right now. Like, that's what I think, that we're being 100% transparent right now, because it's like, maybe we're not awesome at this, but we're learning and we're pushing ourselves, like our motto is. And I think that's really important, to just be totally transparent with who you are and what you want in life. And it's okay just to share that with the world, because it's unique,
Yeah, I think relatability is huge, because again, if people can't relate to you, then more than likely they're probably not going to buy your product or service. So, being relatable makes people feel like you're human, like you're like them, and you can find a common ground. And the best example I can give is, and I hate to rag on used car salesmen, and they're not all like this, but let's say you go to buy a new car, and the used car salesman is just trying to make a hard sale, and you could tell that he's feeding you lines of bullshit. All he wants to do is make a sale. He doesn't genuinely care about what you're interested in or the value. Your wall's going to go up right away. So again, you're not going to trust him. More than likely, you're not going to buy the car. And so, it doesn't matter what business that you're in life. You have to humble yourself. You have to provide value. You have to get them to trust you, because more than likely, if I trust the used car salesman, I'm probably going to go back and buy another car from him in the future, him or her. So they earn my trust. So that's how big it is, because again, once that wall comes down, people are going to trust you more. And again, it goes back to trust being at the foundation of everything.
I agree with you, and I was just thinking that as you were speaking. I thought, geez, we are really going back into this trust factor. But it does come down to, like, relatability. When I can trust somebody, I can relate to them more, because they're being open to me, and I can relate to that fact, And the reality is, we are all unique, unrepeatable people. Like, there is nobody out there in the world that is exactly like you. And so that's what is so great about being authentic, is like, you are the only person, you are the only Mike Stahl in this world. Like, that is it. There's nobody else like you, dude. Like, you can't find somebody with your exact DNA anywhere. And I think that is the biggest thing that people need to understand, is like, be authentic, be who you really are, because it's so cool.
Because be who you are, because everyone else is already taken.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That is a great quote. That is a great quote. It is so true. And I love the whole unique, unrepeatable people. I think that is so just interesting to me. But let's talk about personally now, Mike, in this what personally happens when we are not authentic. Because I think we'll go into personal stories in a second here after this, but I think let's just talk about, because we've been not authentic all the time. Like, that's just reality. I'll be the first to admit it. I have not been authentic 100% of my whole life. Trust me. And I'll tell you about that. But I'm working on it every single day. Just like everything we do in life, we have to consistently work on and push ourselves. But talk about that.
Well, I think that some things happen with yourself when this happens, and there's some things that happen around you as well. So obviously for yourself, you're going to lose a sense of who you are. I mean, you can only pretend so long that you're somebody that you're not, before really the real you is going to either come through, it's going to come out in a time of adversity, or someone's going to force it to come out, and whether or not they like it, I don't know what's going to happen with that. But since you're faking it, don't fake it. You're going to lose a sense of personal fulfillment. Like, at the end of the night, again, like I said in a previous podcast, like, you need to be happy and fulfilled when you lay your head down on the pillow at night. So that's a major key and factor. Losing a sense of rawness, I think that's another big one. We'll go into that in a little bit. You can only maintain it for so long. The big thing I think about not being authentic is that people do see it a mile away. Like for me, I have really good intuition that when I know someone's bullshitting me or lying to me or they're not being authentic, like I can pick that up within like literally the first 5 minutes of conversation.
Yes,
you know what I mean? And then I don't want to fucking talk to the person anymore because you're not being authentic with me. Like I could go have a conversation with the wall, you know, and feel better about myself than talking with someone who's completely inauthentic.
No, it's true though. It's true, right? I mean, I love this saying, and for those of you who have seen Jerry Maguire, I love that part where the kid's in the back seat, and he goes, you know, did you know that bees and dogs can smell fear, and humans can smell BS and they can smell inauthenticity. Like they just can. I mean, like you said, you can see it a mile away. You can just tell when someone's not being genuine. And it's like, why are you doing that? It's such a turnoff, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't make you want to hang out with that person.
Yeah. I mean, think about like just your spouse or your boyfriend or girlfriend. Like literally, if they were inauthentic and fake, like you wouldn't even like put an ounce of effort into that person.
Yeah.
You know, and so I mean that kind of goes all the way across the board, whether it's in business or whatever the case may be. I mean, yeah, it's just like it's a huge turnoff.
Yeah, and I think one of a great quote that you know Mike and I both really like by Kurt Cobain is, "I'd rather be hated for who I am than loved for who I am not." I'd rather be hated for who I am than loved for who I'm not. And I think that is 100% authenticity. One, Kurt Cobain, yeah, I mean, minus the drug abuse and things and mental, you know, instability there, he never went out and did things he didn't want to do. You know what I mean? Like, he always was just like, I'm going to play. Like, he was actually like an introvert and a shy person, but he just went out there and just like, okay, this is me, like, who cares, like, and whether you like it or not, I'm going to do this.
Exactly.
And he became one of the biggest grunge stars of our generation. Like, so that's what I'm saying is that authenticity can be so important to your success as well, because you made a great point, and it was like you can only maintain it for so long. Say you're trying to climb the corporate ladder. Say you're trying to start a business. Like, people, like, if you are trying to climb the ladder in life and you are doing it in a shady, sneaky kind of way, like that will come out, won't it?
Yeah.
You know,
definitely.
I mean.
Yeah, it'll definitely come out. I mean, again, people are going to smell that a mile away. I can't think of one business, honestly, that has been extremely successful and the customer did not trust them.
Yeah.
I mean,
right.
It's such a simple concept. It's so black and white, you know, it's so simple. So, and speaking of personal stories, Brian, I want you to give your personal story on, you know, maybe there was a time where your authenticity was challenged and maybe you felt like trying to be someone you're not.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. And I have a really big one because it was almost about 6 years of being unauthentic, like, to myself. And it comes down to self-awareness. But I remember when I first came out of school, I joined my dad's insurance business. Now, you know, I was a communications major. My thing is people, like, you know, but I didn't think about that at the time. When I was in the insurance business, I thought I had to be this mathematician, this super whiz on these products and things. So we'd go to meetings and I would just act so weird. And I was just like trying to, like, I remember sitting there, seriously, I remember sitting there just like sweating and things because like I was trying to act like, oh yeah, this works like this, but I had no clue, but I tried to act like I was so smart. I mean, I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, just the shiniest. Let's just like get that out of the table. But it was just one of those days. Flat Brian over here making his way across the table. But that's how I felt, Mike. It was very, and you know what? I was so unhappy. At the end of the day, I would go home and I go, that just did not feel good to me. And guess what? I never made one sale within those early years, especially those early years. I figured it out down the road around like the 4th or 5th year. But the first like 3 years, I thought and I didn't make one sale or anything. And it was because I truly think it was people can smell BS. People can see I was not being who I really was.
They thought to themselves, this dude is weird.
I'm fine with being weird. Like, I embrace the weirdness. It's just like, makes me happy. But now I do, you know.
Yeah.
But What about you, Mike? Tell me your story, and because it's so good to share these things with the audience, I think.
I think the one thing before I share my personal story, what I heard you say is that you were unhappy when you were inauthentic. So that goes back to what we talked about before. I think that people that are authentic are happier people overall. So I just wanted to make that point. But for my personal story is when I first got into the health and wellness industry, I literally thought that I needed to be the most muscular, ripped, shredded human being on planet Earth. Like I thought that I needed to look like one of those, bodies, skeletal bodies that showed all the muscles and stuff, like literally, like, and I felt that like I needed to eat chicken and broccoli like 6 or 7 times a day to get shredded. Like it was just very unrealistic. It was unsustainable, but I felt like in order for people to believe me, that's what I needed to do. You know what I mean? But what I quickly realized was that people would look at me and think, well, I'm never going to be able to do what you do. That's too lofty. That's too much. And so I realized that when I shared with my clients that, no, I go and eat tacos, I eat burgers and fries, I eat pizza, I skip workouts sometimes, like, they're like, oh shit, like, I'm just like Mike, but maybe he's a little bit more consistent with me, but I think I can do that. You know what I mean? And in my business, like, quadrupled after I started being more transparent and letting people know, no, I'm just like you. We have, we both bleed blood. That's what I always say. And so, you got to be relatable, and that's that for my story.
No, I think that, and what you said was so important, is like how your business quadrupled after you were like, wait a second, like I don't have to be like, I'm not like you had that idea of this perfect, amazing, like trainer, like I'm so shredded, but the reality is, like, I mean, we're all imperfectly perfect, and I think like a lot of people understand that. So if you can just relate to that, saying, look, there's no perfect human being out there, but I am here helping you as best I can and helping myself as best I can, train you to be your best self. And that's what I think is really cool, is how your business quadrupled just by being more transparent, open, and authentic.
Yeah, I was more honest, and you know what, I was happier myself too, because then, one, I didn't have to lie about what I was eating. Two, I didn't have to like
eat broccoli and chicken every day.
Yeah, well, that too. I mean, dude, you get burnt out eating that way, But again, it's got to be sustainable, and with people being able to relate to me. Like before, like when I would walk into a presentation and tell them that they needed to eat this and eat that, and I was really, really muscular, like the women would think, like, what does this guy know about training a female?
Yeah.
Like, I can't relate to this guy. He's telling me to do this and do that, and his goals are different. So when I really started, like, just getting on the ground level and just being who I was and telling real stories like what we're telling now, that's when people started to really buy into my concepts.
Yeah. No, I think that's so important. So I think that what we're really showing is a lot of trust, self-awareness, happiness, relatability. I think it's also, important. So just like be proud of who you are, be proud of your talents, because, you just have to embrace those great things about you. And if people don't like you for that, well, trust me, it doesn't matter. You'll find the people that do, and you'll be so much happier in life with all that. So we're going to kind of close out now and go into the challenge. And what I think that Mike and I talked about that would be a really, really great challenge is to create a value statement for yourself, for your life, for whatever it is that you kind of want, because that's how you'll show up. So you want to talk about a little bit about that value statement? You had some good things to say before we kind of got into the recording.
I think that a good thing to do is to challenge yourself. Next time let's say you're in a social setting or something, and you feel the urge to maybe lie or to do something or say something to fit in, challenge yourself to do the exact opposite. Yeah. To say what you mean or say what you feel so that they know what you mean. You know what I mean? Just be yourself. Do not feel like you need to say something to fit in or to get their approval or anything like that. So when you feel yourself kind of leaning towards being inauthentic, stop yourself mentally and say, no, I'm in the moment right now, and I'm just going to be me, period.
Yeah, check yourself against your value statement. Are you being the person that you are set out to be, you know, like we talked about at the beginning. Are you being, you know, who you are rather than who you think you should be? So, last part of the episode is Mike's going to go through a health tip because, hey, look, you can't go out there and win in life and in business and without having you know, a healthy lifestyle and being mentally and physically ready to go on and take on the world. So go ahead, Mike.
Well, I think the biggest thing that I've witnessed being in the health and wellness field is that people are not eating enough protein. I'm going to put Brian on the burner here because he came to me and he's like, oh, I'm not seeing results and you know, I'm frustrated and this and that. And once I checked to see how much protein that he was actually eating, he was not eating hardly any protein at all.
That's what I was looking like.
You know, so protein is very thermogenic. It has the ability to help burn body fat. And whether you're male or female, it doesn't matter. Protein is just as important. Now, you know, how much protein you eat is dependent upon what your personal goals are. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of research and studies prove that if you were to not change anything other than just eat more protein, you could burn up to about 20% more calories during the day. You know, like eating protein helps speed up the metabolism. So you need to eat protein. It's the most important macronutrient out of proteins, fats, and carbs. You need to prioritize it. I mean, honestly, for myself, every time I go to eat, I say, if this doesn't have protein in it, like I'm not going to eat it. That's how important it is.
Yeah. No, I love that. And Mike did put me on the spot, but I'm glad he did. He was actually a huge help for me in that area. And
eat your protein, bro.
I can definitely say I feel so much better from eating that protein. And no, I'm not Chad from The Bachelorette eating beef jerky out of my pocket. But anyway, hey, thanks for tuning in. We're so grateful. We love you all. And we'll see you on the next episode.